Well, since our company started in the fall of 2011, we've been very fortunate to have some wonderful clients. Specifically, working with municipalities has been very rewarding. When we come into working with a new client and we look at the facilities that they have and the condition that they are existing in, many of their facilities are not accessible, including their parks. So let's just take parks for an example. When we come in working with a client for the first time, we very often find things like pea gravel still in their playground area. And that's very difficult for a person having a mobility disability to be able to use that park playground surface. So we work with the client, we explain to them what the requirements are, what the guidelines are, and we identify these things being architectural barriers. Pea gravel, for instance, in this scenario is considered an architectural barrier. So we teach the client to remove that and then provide an accessible route leading to the playground, changing that pea gravel out to an acceptable surface, something like engineered wood mulch, and then thereby allowing a person with a disability to be able to not only have access to the playground, but in and around the playground to actually get to the swing set or whatever those ground play components may consist of. So when we look at providing or changing the existing built environment from a non-accessible environment to an accessible environment, it becomes very rewarding, often knowing that the people we're helping the most we may never actually see or meet, but understanding that a playground wasn't compliant before with the regulations and wasn't accessible in any way, there's a very rewarding feeling knowing after we leave that we've been able to make our mark and make at least a small corner of that municipality, city, town, local government accessible.
People often make the assumption that a city is nothing more than roads, highways, police, and fire. But when we talk about cities and Y2K plus 20 now, probably one of the biggest issues that mayors across the country face is accessibility. A lot of cities have been around for centuries. And obviously, within the past 50 years, there's been so much progress with making cities accessible. But prior to that, it was a challenge, even for able-bodied people, to get from point A to point B safely. So for us, because we consider the city of West Lafayette to be relatively advanced, we know that we like to be proactive in solving problems. The ADA is nothing more than sort of a roadmap for us to continue to be progressive, to continue to make sure that our city is accessible.
ADA affects the city of West Lafayette in many different ways, and I could break this down into a lot of different categories, but it affects the city of West Lafayette because there are a lot of citizens, especially because we have Purdue University's campus here and 42,000 students, that we always have an influx of new students that are coming in, and we have to be cognizant about their disabilities and what can we do to make our city more accessible in the ways that these individuals that are coming to our town be able to get around the community and go to the places that we need for everybody to be able to go. Businesses, whether it be restaurants or retail stores, retail merchants, that they can get into the store and they can get through the stores and make this as accessible for them as possible.
Comprehension of what the ADA is and what are the implications to a specific client has always been the largest hurdle to overcome for us as a company when we're working with individual clients.
One of the things that we've done to this point, and we're going to expand this even more, is with ADA Consulting of Indiana on board with us, with the city here of West Lafayette, and with our ACT group within the county, is reviewing plans when building permits are being purchased in the city. Part of our review process of their drawings, their building drawings, we're reviewing those plans to make sure not only the parking lot and the sidewalks accessible to the building, but everything within the building is being done as per ADA.
It used to be that Only our disabled citizens were the ones that made us aware of things. And it was big issues then. They couldn't get upstairs. They couldn't go down slides. They couldn't access playground equipment with their grandkids. The sidewalks were in such bad disrepair or so narrow that they couldn't use them. Parking spaces weren't adequately marked. Having the guidance in front of all those issues has made us a better place to live. And it saves not only time, but it just makes your city a more welcoming place to be. There was this old adage back in the day where, government does government work. And thank God we've kind of got it out of that mandate. Government now does the people's work, and that's all people.
Our primary client base would be local or municipal government entities. And with one of them being used as an example, what we first do is we follow the guidelines of the ADA, which requires a municipality to go through a 13-step process, a checklist, if you will, to ensure that if you go through all 13 elements, that indeed you are operating within the guidelines of the ADA and ensuring that your programs, procedures, services, and facilities are all in accordance with those guidelines.
David Meihls is our consultant. He's in-house almost daily. He's involved in the conversations about not only what we're going to build, but the planning process to build that. Before we do anything when it involves any kind of major, whether it be a parks, whether it be an athletic facility, whether it be a roadway, whether it be a structure, David's there to let us know what we must do. And he is in a position to change the direction of this city. And I think that's critically important because a lot of times, if without the appropriate guidance, a city can go down the wrong path. And remember, this is not our money. It's taxpayers' dollars. And to correct it, whether it be through direction of a compliance order, or whether it be through just the finding out that you've misstepped, is expensive. And redoing a structure, redoing a facility, no mayor wants to have to do that. So for us, it's just the more we know, the better we behave. We're one of the best cities in the state of Indiana, and we're proud to say so. But we're not that way just because, of a few things that we do right. We're there because we're open, we're welcoming, we take the appropriate guidance, we recognize that we don't know much about much, and we are eagerly pursuing those who can give us that proper guidance and that information to do the right thing for our community.